One of the things that I often find when people ask questions or bring up problems that they have with their horses or challenges is they tend to be asking or focused on like the end part of the unwanted behavior. And rarely are people taught how to recognize the initial signs of maybe resistance in the horse, defensiveness in the horse, concern in the horse that is going to contribute to behaviors that maybe are counter offers to what we're requesting of him, meaning that many times if we're asking the horse to do something, it will sometimes feel like the horse has other ideas and other physical responses than what we've asked. And then people go, well, now what do I do? Rather than recognizing the initial beginning signs of when a horse is perhaps defensive to how we're communicating with them, noticing how often the horse is mentally fixated elsewhere or distracted by the herd or his thoughts back with the barn despite his body being out on the trail ride or whatever the scenario might be. And so my goal in a lot of the videos that I post and that I try to share is helping break down for people to start to recognize and put value to equine behavior. And I find that sometimes when there's a general discussion about equine behavior, it's presented with a human emotional filter. And so what I mean by that is based on what the horse is doing, how it makes a person feel is how they describe the behavior. And so this creates a filter, it creates a human story, like explaining the horse behavior without having any accuracy as to what the horse is doing, why he's doing it, or being able to break things down in a way to start communicating to help the horse maybe work through his resistance, his defensiveness, his fear, his worry, his concern, whatever it is that he might be experiencing. So something that I often suggest to folks is notice how often do you first just stop and observe your horse, whether it's maybe before you catch him if he's out in the pasture or in a stall, or if you're watching your horse, on his own when you're not right there handling him, and start to notice how often your thoughts have something to do with like your emotions and how you feel about what the horse is doing. You'll see a lot of videos here on TikTok and other social media platforms that are chiding the horse, are judging the horse, are critiquing the horse, are making up these supposed to be humorous comments about why the horse is being so dumb or so stupid or so resistant, or we need to teach him a lesson, or whatever the rhetoric might be. That is all coming from human emotion and human ego, and it has nothing to do with actually addressing why the horse is behaving as he is. And for a lot of folks, they are taught to be, I'm going to say, hopeful in trying to impose a strong enough communication and aids with the horse to where he will physically comply and that he will physically tolerate what's asked of him. But rarely do people acknowledge what the horse is experiencing and how that's going to influence his future responses to our interaction. Meaning, if each time we catch the horse, we have to do so either with bribery of some sort of food or grain or whatnot, or we have to catch the buddy horse in order to catch him, or we have to chase him around the pasture before he finally gives up and we can walk over and halter him. That means that everything that he's experienced during the catching, we have been teaching him to be defensive towards us. We have been teaching him to perhaps be concerned by our presence. We have been teaching him to be anticipative as to what we might do next. And if he's carrying those mental and emotional, we'll say that chaos, how will he respond to anything else that we ask of him? Meaning when we go to lead him, when we ask him to stand tied, when we go to tack up, when we go to get on, all of that chaos continues to influence how he responds to us, which means that we're going to wind up seeing him offer more anticipative, more resistant, more avoidant behavior sooner and sooner in the interaction. And sometimes what happens is people say, well, then you just need to teach that horse a lesson. You need to get stronger. You need to get more aggressive in your communication. Make him run, make him work if he's not willing to comply, all of this different rhetoric that people come up with. And again, you have to say, well, if the horse is already starting in a fearful state, if he's already starting with defensiveness towards human communication, and now we're going to impose more pressure in making the horse run or flee, if you will, during that moment, what are we actually teaching him for the future? And this is where so often the tools or the skill set that people are taught really wind up causing a lot more harm and damage to the interaction with the horse than actually building trust or quality.